Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Bob World Builder, and I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the Creator Summit, the D&D Creator Summit that is coming up, and I want to talk about a posit that Bob World Builder put forward insulting Dungeons and Dragons that I think is outrageously wrong and that I want to correct. All right, so it's interesting. So Bob World Builder, he has his own channel and he's done pretty well with it, right? But every single thing in the world changed for tabletop role-playing games in January 2023. Before that, in my humble opinion, we lived in a virtual kumbaya garden, okay? And after that, we live in a virtual contested ground, right? Kumbaya garden, contested ground. Everything's changed, right? So now when I look at Bob Wilder, first of all, Bob Wilder, I feel like he's been fooling people for a long time. And he's like, oh, shucks, who me? Right? Like he's got this, like, low-key. And the thing is, all that melted away as soon as he was upset by the 2023 OGL crisis, the 2023 OGL, the 2023 Manic Panic, right? Which, in my opinion, was an echo of what happened with the 1983 Satanic Panic. And literally the same words were shouted by both groups that stood against D&D. They shouted D&D be gone in 1983. They shouted D&D be gone in 2023. Repugnant fools both, in my opinion, right? It's just absolutely horrible, the history of all of this. The history in 1983, the history in 2023. And a bunch of revisionism is coming to happen right now, so the OSR, in my humble opinion, can kind of pave over the horrible things they did in 2023, right? And so in my humble opinion, Bob World Builder is an OSR partisan with the problem of literally making his living. I think he's professional now. He's like 100% all in on YouTube and actually makes his living with YouTube. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I think he's an OSR partisan who has the problem of making his living on D&D, right? And so he wants to keep making his living talking about American fantasy tabletop role-playing games, but he doesn't want to give any goodwill to Dungeons and Dragons anymore. So he did this video, and he talked about him getting invited to the Creator Summit for D&D. Now this is a huge honor that he received, and his entire response was outrageous selfishness and a grim smugness, right? Repugnant, in my opinion, right? But he said something interesting. So he reads their email, piece by piece, like mocking it at every turn, right? He's been given this, this incredible opportunity, and his only response is like, how dare they email me, right? And I'm like, dude, like, there are people who would really want it. It's horribly a shame that this opportunity was given to you, because there's thousands of people who would have really been excited to get it and might have helped, right? But unfortunately, just because of the way the world works, right? And if you got 50 to 100,000 subs, you're gonna get on their radar, right? He ended up getting this thing that he doesn't even deserve or want, right? And so it's just really upsetting, the whole situation, right? But he said something interesting. So they said in the email, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, they say in the email, we're trying to serve the community. And he goes, are you? Like, he gets this smugness in himself. He's like, let's slow your roll, right? He says, like, you're not serving a community. He says, you make cool books and we play games. And this is it, right? This is what I've been telling you. D&D canon hardbacks are not cool books. They are life-changing historic documents, right? And we don't play a game. We use Gary Gygax's legacy, in my humble opinion, to change lives, to learn, grow, and change, right? And this is the crux of it, right? He's like, how dare you try to use Dungeons and Dragons to benefit people, right? How dare you say that you serve a community? All you do is make cool books, and all I do is play a game, right? And he's like, we're not saving lives. But that's ridiculous revisionism, right? The reality is D&D has done, like, literally D&D is responsible for literally millions of dollars of charity that have quite literally saved lives, that have gone to all kinds of charities, a myriad of charities. So one, slow your roll. You're 100% wrong. This isn't you don't even have to listen to me and believe that Dungeons and Dragons is something more than a game. You definitely need to understand that the excitement around Dungeons and Dragons has literally raised millions for multiple charities that have fed, that have fought a myriad of different diseases, and lives have been saved through the millions of dollars of charity, right? So Bob Worldbuilder, I know you want to laugh at Dungeons & Dragons and say they're just making cool books and you're just playing a game, but you are definitely forgetting that people have connected millions of dollars of charity have collected and given millions of charity over 5 decades from Dungeons & Dragons. So you are definitely, what you're saying is just outrageously wrong and incredibly revisionist and insulting to Dungeons & Dragons. They are serving the community, at minimum, the D&D community. What I find really interesting, so Dave the Bob Worldbuilder is outrageously selfish. He's got a grim smugness that has emerged, and I really feel like he is a D&D villain at this point. He stands against D&D, but he's got this personal problem where he literally makes his living on D&D. Right? So what's he going to do? And this is the point. The virtual Kumbaya garden is gone. We're in the virtual contested grounds now, right? And D&D and OSR are contesting every single player and dungeon master, right? And there are real stakes here, right? And Bob Worldbuilder, in my opinion, is an incredible OSR partisan and wants D&D gone. I think that's what he wants. That's my humble opinion. And I'm galled that he even received this invitation, and I was galled by his incredibly selfish and incredibly smug response to it, right? But what's really interesting is what it exposes, right? So not only is he wrong, right? And D&D canon hardbacks are literally catapulting people into brighter futures. It is teaching them how to be public speakers, how to have better, it is quite literally teaching them how to have better vocabulary, how to think more clearly, how to do problem solving, how to do public speaking, how to be leaders, like just a ton of, these D&D canon hardbacks. These are far more valuable, in my opinion, than probably half of the textbooks these kids will ever read, or that these junior high and college kids are ever going to read. And I'm learning and growing through them today, right? Like, so it is outrageous what he is saying, that D&D is not serving a community. It absolutely is. But by his insult really reminded me of something even more, right? When we were in the 2023 OGL crisis, they said, hey, there's hateful speech going out under the OGL, right? And we want to protect people from this, right? And that was one of the things they very clearly said. We have a concern that that under the OGL, hateful speech is going out. We want to make sure that does not happen in the future, right? And then I was like, okay, you want to protect the community, right? That's what they were saying. And now they're saying we want to serve the community. I remember 25 years ago when all over the country, virtually every police car you would see would say to protect and serve. And here's our world. Police don't protect or serve anything today, right? The fact is, well, you know what? Actually, I will say this. The police in my community do protect and serve. That's real, okay? And I'm incredibly fortunate, right? However, all over America, there are communities that are saying, police don't protect or serve here. Absolutely not, right? So we now live in a world where if you spun around and threw a foam rock and hit an American, there's a good chance they'll say, oh no, police don't protect and serve. But the creators of Dungeons & Dragons, they literally are protecting and serving. And people are like, Scott, your ideas are ridiculous. Here we are, right? Like, Bob Worldbuilder laughs at the idea that Hasbro is protecting and serving. I don't. I know they're serving. I know they're serving thousands of people through the inspiration the game has created, Dungeons & Dragons has created, to spread millions of dollars in charity to 1,000 different charities. And that is absolutely saving lives. And I believe for very realsy, right, that 100% they are protecting against hateful speech, right? You think I'm wrong? What do you think Venger Satanis creates? Why do you think he put the word Satan in his name? To put forward good kindness, right? You don't think there might be some hateful speech up in Venger Satanis' products? Where the dude's literally named himself after Satan. Like, come on. Or like, and Venge, like, is in the, like, you don't think there's some hateful speech coming out of that? You don't think there's some hateful speech coming out of the new TSR? Yeah. They definitely are protecting and serving. And Bob Worldbuilder's idea that they're not serving anyone is ludicrous. and all his concepts are ludicrous. And I think, and I think it's really interesting because I think for 2-3 years, oh shucks me, what? He has this like, you know, kind demeanor, and then he was like, let me show you the true Bob World Builder, right? I've been given this incredible opportunity that thousands would have prayed for, right? But I'm gonna respond with selfishness and smugness. Incredible, right? And this is the point. We out of the virtual kumbaya garden, man. We're in the virtual contested ground now, and people are picking sides. And I think Bob World Builder is an outrageous OSR partisan, right? Who has the problem of making his living on Dungeons and Dragons. That's a real problem. It's going to be interesting to see how he solves it, right? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't think anybody's going to be able to make a living on commentary on OSE, DCC, and Pathfinder. And I think he's going to figure that out too. He ain't figured it out yet, right? Very interesting. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.